Ashley, you are with United Digestive, right?
Yes,
Okay, and how long have you been there?
I have been with, well, it used to be AGA, but been with the company for a little over 6 years.
Okay, and what is your title there?
It is going to be project manager.
Okay, and what was your previous role?
I was originally hired as a marketing coordinator, which morphed into obviously practice liaison as that kind of terminology became more prevalent. And then over time, as we continued to grow, I became the practice liaison and events supervisor. So we actually at the time had two full-time liaisons out in the field, calling on doctors, and then overseeing all of our health fair and just kind of community involvement as well. So as things have changed again, our managers are taking on a larger role with marketing in their territories.
Okay.
The liaison role has basically kind of gone away, and we in the marketing team are restructuring. So I'll still have a huge role in terms of data analytics with referrals, but all the things that we put in place kind of up till now, including the widget that we built, is because of this shift to get managers out in the field versus us.
Right, and can you give me a breakdown kind of what your clinic looks like as far as like locations, providers, and then how many actually liaisons y'all have going out into the field to call on your referral sources?
Yeah, so I don't have the exact numbers, but I believe we have somewhere around 50 clinics. We've got, I think, maybe 14 endo centers, and maybe slightly more now with the acquisition in Savannah. And then we've got about 90 to 100 physicians, and
Okay.
then an additional, I think, maybe 30 to 40 APPs.
Okay.
And again, that's from really like the entire almost top half of the state of Georgia, and now including Savannah as well, and also into North Carolina. So pretty large network. And then in terms of people out in the field, as I said, we used to have the two full-time liaisons. We've now shifted to having our practice and clinic managers be the ones who are out in the field calling on their doctors in their territories. So we have 24 practice and clinic managers, and then there's 4 regional directors as well. They probably aren't going to do as many visits, but they'll kind of help oversee the process. There may be instances where Tiffany, who is a team member, kind of previously was the practice liaison. She may every once in a while end up going out and doing some visits, or maybe assisting with like a lunch or something, but really for the most part, it's going to land on the managers to do that.
And when they're out in the field calling, do they use MDreferraPRO to put in their visits and notes?
Yeah, so we're actually in the process of training them right now. So we've done almost half of them, and we started out by training them. It's hard because they've heard about the system a lot, and we've talked to them about it a lot in terms of like how we're coming up with the numbers that we've shared with them over the last couple of years, but they've never had access to it. So now they're finally getting access to it, and they've got 10 million other things they're doing. We're also in the middle of changing our EMR system, so there's a lot going on, and so we had to try to figure out a way to kind of spoon feed them the training.
Right.
So what we decided to do was start with showing them the widget, because that's kind of shiny and new and exciting.
Tell me a little bit about the widget, Ashley. Like, what do you like about it, and what is it doing for you at United Digestive to help you with your review of analytics?
Yeah, so what we found was, I was using advanced analytics a lot, and advanced analytics is great for so many things. Like, obviously, you can do a lot of research on referrals and trends and this, that, and the other thing. especially with, new providers or, you know, just a number of different things. Well, we were having a problem with identifying lagging providers in a given region without having to do a lot of extra research that required a lot of like clicking and making different lists and looking at this report and that report, like without having to kind of piecemeal everything together. So we needed to create something that was easy to understand, where all the information they needed to make a decision about whether or not this person needed a visit was all in one place, and then they could easily create a visit list. That's why we created the widget. So it tells us, so we actually created two. We created one at the facility level, where our managers can log in and at a glance see if their office is ahead or behind or on pace to meet their previous year volumes. And that's important for us because we use previous year volumes as kind of our benchmark for our annual goals. So we have a 5% growth goal over the previous year's volumes. So that's at the level. And then at the provider level, the referring provider level, they can filter by their individual location, and it shows them ranked stacked by who's down the most. Providers who are on pace to refer less than their previous year's volumes. So, and then from there, they can also see that's for their specific office that they're filtering for. But then underneath that, it shows them everywhere else that provider refers and the referral volumes to that location, plus an aggregate of that. So they can see from a snapshot view what the referrals look like for that individual provider, and can make a determination, okay, yes, this is somebody that needs to visit, or no, this doesn't really, meet the criteria. I'm going to move on to the next person.
Right.
So it's really, really awesome. Like I said, we've trained a couple people, little less than half of the managers on it so far, but they've been really excited about it, and have all said that that it was going to make things a lot easier for them.
And so, I mean, basically, MDreferraPRO was able to create something unique for you that's most beneficial for what you're doing there to track referrals and to really meet the most needs of what y'all want to look at when in regards to referral analysis.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're eventually going to go back and train them on advanced analytics and how to look up different things with regards to that, because obviously there's still so much information in there. But to get them started, last year we actually did kind of our own little experiment. We grouped our visits based on kind of the bucket that they fell into. So we did new visits, lagging visits, and then potential, meaning never having referred to them or to us. So it was a little difficult to identify or find enough people, because again, we're so big that we have quite a big network. It's a good problem to have, but through all of that, we were able to determine that the lagging providers had the most kind of bang for our buck. It was easiest to convert growth from that demographic, and so that's why we decided to start with the lagging for the managers going out into the field to get started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great to hear. And so, before MDreferraPRO was part of your process at United Digestive, well, first, how many years have you been using MDreferraPRO?
I think it's about 5 years. Like I said, I've been around for a little over 6, and we joined up with MDreferraPRO pretty shortly thereafter I joined.
Okay. And your process before MDreferraPRO, how did y'all work your referrals?
Yeah, it was kind of a mess, quite honestly. So when I first joined, before we switched to Greenway, we were actually on a previous system. And quite honestly, I was trained, to pull reports from that system. But at the time, we were looking at overall referrals. So it was definitely not as kind of nuanced and hyper-focused as MDreferraPRO allows us to be.
So you had spreadsheets, I'm guessing, just various spreadsheets?
Exactly, yeah. So each time, you'd run a new report and you'd have to, maybe combine spreadsheets or keep adding columns and then trying to, put your notes in or, like project to project was a nightmare trying to keep everything straight. And I was only doing it by myself. So I didn't even have the issue of having to like coordinate with other people. But that's a whole nother level of complication. So, but even I alone, I was like, I can't do this. This is too insane. So, we started looking at options.
Good.
At that time, yeah.
And so, so you mentioned your EMR, Greenway, and are y'all changing from Greenway to something else?
We are. We're in the process of moving to eClinicalWorks.
eClinicalWorks, okay. And I'm guessing we'll still grab your data the same. I mean, the same, or will there be changes to that? Do you know?
I'm not entirely sure yet. I actually just received a document this morning from Sandra about what is needed. So I need to share that with my IT team.
Okay.
And just try to make it as painless as possible.
And it should be. I mean, she's pretty good about that. I mean, once we get the criteria fields and then we capture that, then it's, it's pretty much a go from there, as you know.
Yeah. The only thing, it's unfortunate for us is the IT director we had who helped onboard us to MDreferraPRO on my side is no longer with the company. So that's my, hesitation is I'm like, oh crap, that guy's gone. But there is one person who was around from back then. So I'm hoping he can kind of help us navigate things. I
hope so. And sometimes even if, it's kind of all the same for those kind of guys. So typically, once it's just a field, you have to capture that field. And so hopefully it will go smoothly.
Yeah, it should. My IT team is really actually incredible for they're actually a pretty small team for such a large organization, but they're incredible.
Good.
Yeah.
So would you recommend MDreferraPRO to others in the healthcare arena that could use something to help track referrals or organize their liaisons?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I can't even fathom, the insanity that was the spreadsheets and the craziness that was now. And especially too, as we've grown, and with the acquisition, with the United Digestive kind of merger situation, we're getting more and more asks from above about, they want to know ROI. They want to know details about our referrals that would be absolutely impossible to answer almost ever if, let alone within any sort of good timeline without having a system in place. It would just be impossible. And I think most places are going that way, especially as, more and more people, everybody's trying to do less with more. So even though it is an expense, it
pays itself.
Yeah, it's still so worth it. And everybody has to kind of figure out what that dollar amount is, what's a patient worth and whatnot. But I think the organization allows you and the information and the ability to report to people, your doctors, your stakeholders, your C-suites, all those people who have questions that, need the details. It's invaluable for that.
That's great. Really it is because, I see the value in it for sure. And, because I actually at one time was a pharmaceutical rep and I can see, I had spreadsheets as well, made my own. And if I would have had a much more organized system, then I think I could have even been more effective than I was.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned looking at a couple of other systems whenever you looked at MDreferraPRO. Do you remember what those were and why you chose MD Referral Pro over the other systems that you looked at?
Yeah, I do. So I know there were a few others. The one that I mainly remember was Salesforce because obviously it's the most well-known
Right.
CRM system. Um, However, we did a lot of, I looked into it. We did a demo with them, but the problem that I had was that um, they, it was kind of like trying to fit a square into a round hole.
Mhm.
Their system is robust. Don't get me wrong; it's great, but the physician and the referral relationship in the healthcare industry is kind of like sales, but not really. Not enough to where it was a one-to-one, like, oh, great, we can just use this, no problem. It was going to be really, I quite honestly don't know that it would have met all of our needs, and I think it would have been even more frustrating trying to get it to work for our needs
Right.
than just sticking with spreadsheets, which obviously is not the point. And so I really wanted something that was healthcare specific. That was a huge priority for me. And so, obviously I needed to figure out what that was. And so that's actually when I went to our IT team and asked if they had any recommendations, and they were able to show me the list of kind of approved vendors or vendors with relationships with Greenway. And that's how I even heard about, Advisory MD or MD Referral Pro to begin with. So,
So did you call and schedule a demo?
yes. Or I put something in online. I don't remember exactly how that worked. But yeah, I talked with Frickin to begin with and did a demo and then just kind of continued. And then Ashley came and, kind of went on from there. Obviously, I had to get buy-in from, our operations structure. But
And now you're one of our biggest advocates and users. So
yeah, but we were able to make it work because we were able to show them the value and what it could create.
right, it's awesome.
So it was actually a pretty easy sell to them once we were able to show them exactly what it could do.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ashley, so much for your time today and for being a valuable client of MD Referral Pro. And so we just appreciate everything that, our relationship, sharing has.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. We couldn't do it without you.